This is Friday Evening's Undercard. On our wrestling show today, Wrestling Hall of Famer Bobby Fulton talks to us about his matches in the original Crockett Cup, his views on professional wrestling today, and the upcoming Crockett Cup on April 27th. Welcome everyone to Friday Evening's Undercard. I'm Gentleman John, and today Eric and I have a fantastic interview. But first, if you want to follow us on social media, we can be found on Instagram at Friday Evening's Undercard, on Twitter at FUndercard, on Facebook by going to facebook.com/Friday Evening's Undercard, or you can reach us via email at fridayeveningsundercard@gmail.com. If you like what you hear, please subscribe and give us that 5-star review on iTunes. It'd mean a lot to us. Now, our guest today has been involved with professional wrestling for nearly 42 years. In his career as a part of the Fantastics, he won tag team championships all around the nation. He's a 2-time National Wrestling Alliance United States Tag Team Champion, a 2-time NWA Mid-American Tag Team Champion, a 2-time NWA American Tag Team Champion, and an AWA Southern Tag Team Champion, among many others. He also saw success as a singles wrestler, winning the NWA Central States Television Championship. In 2017, he was inducted into the Wrestling and Respect Hall of Fame. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, one half of the Fantastics, Mr. Bobby Fulton. Welcome to the show, Bobby Fulton.
Thank you so much. It's a privilege and a pleasure to get a chance to get on here and visit with y'all and all the wrestling fans that are out there listening.
And it's great to have you on.
Thank you, sir.
Well, we got you on the line today because we wanted to talk a little bit about the Crockett Cup. They've got one coming up.
Right.
And obviously you are a very experienced participant in the Crockett Cup.
Mm-hmm. Yes, as a matter of fact, I was in the very first one back in New Orleans in the Superdome, and I remember it was a great, great tournament, and the reason why there was teams from all over the world looking for the prestige and the honor and the glory of holding that Crockett Cup and what it meant to professional wrestling. As a matter of fact, for those that don't know, the Jim Crockett's promotion was always the tag team territory, the Mid-Atlantic region. I mean, some of the greatest tag teams that was ever in the history of professional wrestling passed through there at one time or another. So Tommy and I was real excited that it was going to take place in New Orleans, and we had an opportunity to go in there and wrestle the Fabulous Ones. We also had a chance to wrestle later on in it. As a matter of fact, we got to the semifinals, I believe, against the Sheepherders in one of the biggest battles of the Crockett Cup that particular year, and later brought on some other matches, which were barbed wire matches and stuff like that. It was a great honor and a privilege to be a part of that. Of course, in that one, there was teams not only from the United States, but also from Japan and all over, Giant Baba, Tiger Mask, and all these guys. And then the second one we were in was later on. The first night was in Greenville, South Carolina. I remember wrestling Larry Zbyszko and Al Perez in that, defeating them, and then going on to Greensboro the next night, part of the Crockett Cup, and being eliminated by Tully and Arn, who we had beaten the time before. In New Orleans, we'd beat the Fabulous Ones, we'd beat Tully and Arn, and like I said, we later faced the Sheepherders. But at this particular time, J.J. Dillon's shoe won out, and victory was theirs, of course, and the rest is history. But you know what? You talk about the resurgence of the popularity of the Crockett Cup. The fans, I'll never forget when I was a part of WCW, the NWA, when it was based out of Charlotte and everything. And the fans were really hurt when it moved to Atlanta when all that went down. So I'm glad to get a chance to know that the Crockett Cup, after all these years, is alive and well. And as you said, will be taking place April the 27th. And that I know there's going to be a lot of great teams be in it. As a matter of fact, a year or so ago, me and my son, Dylan, was in one in Virginia. And as a matter of fact, we faced the Warlord and the Barbarian in it. And as a matter of fact, I got hit in the head with a chair so hard on the back of my head from the Warlord or the Barbarian that you could have hung a hat on it. And brother, and let me tell you this. When I got a chance to hit them with one, it went right through the Warlord. And that's the way it is, brother. It ain't no game out there. It's on. And what really made him mad, I'll tell you guys, somebody had a Warlord doll as we were going around the ring, and I grabbed that doll and I laid it on the mat and I dropped an elbow on it. It was a Warlord, and it covered it right there. And man, sometimes it don't pay to pee off men that are twice your size.
No, it doesn't.
That's a valuable life lesson right there.
Yeah. But you know what? I live to tell about it. I could hear my son laughing in the corner because what had happened was I wasn't running or nothing, mind you. But my foot got tied up in the apron going around the ring. And when I did, he went to hit me with a chair and I fell forward. And when he hit me in the back of the head. I'm telling you, I don't know if you all remember Fred Flintstone or not, but those knots that would come up on Fred Flintstone's head came up on mine. And when I got back to the dressing room, I said, man, I've been hit so hard in the back of the head. And somebody said, I know. I said, how did you know? Did you watch it? He said, no, I can see that knot on the back of your head. So, you know what, brother, sometimes you just got to take one for the business. And I did that night. And I'm sure this April the 27th, you guys are talking about a tag team tournament, the Crockett Cup. And I made the best team win. I know that there's going to be teams from all over wanting to participate in this prestigious tournament. And who knows? Maybe I might try to get into one the following year or something like that. I don't know.
And, you know, it's cool that you mentioned Charlotte because that's where Mid-Atlantic used to be. That's actually where they're taking the cup back to this year. They're going to have it just outside of Charlotte.
That's good. You know, the thing of it is that the Crockett name and the Crockett brand was so strong there in the Carolinas and the Mid-Atlantic region. And I told you, I'll never forget when they were having them pack up and leave because the switch had been done and it was heading down to Atlanta, that the news people was coming into the gym because, hey, it was a big part of the community. Mm-hmm. And I think that's one thing that's lacking in professional wrestling today is that the people don't have that favorite company. And what I mean is one that's tangible, one they can get a hold of, one that they can feel like they're being a part of. And that's the one thing about the Carolinas. They love their NASCAR, they love their wrestling, and that's just the way it goes. And I'm glad, like you said, that it's there, that it's alive and well, the Crockett Cup, the Crockett name, because, I mean, my goodness, some of the greatest matches in professional wrestling took place under the Crockett banner, and we can watch guys like Chief Wahoo McDaniel, the Nature Boy Ric Flair. I'm waiting for the woo, guys, but it's okay. You missed it. That was your chance right there. I was silent for a second. And all the other greats, Johnny Weaver, George Becker, Rip Hawk, Sweet Hansen, the Bolos, the Great Bolo. I mean, all these great tag teams, the Midnight Express, the Fantastics, Tully and Arn, Dusty Rhodes, the American Dream, and Magnum TA, and just all these different teams, the Road Warriors. How can we forget? The foundation is laid. Now it's up for the youth of the future to continue on this great family tradition which is the Crockett Cup tag team tournament.
Well, while we're on it, you talking about great matches in Mid-Atlantic. Now, that match you had against the Sheepherders there in '86, that's probably one of the best matches ever at a Crockett Cup. So do you want to talk to us a little more about that one?
Thank you so much. You know what? I had a guy tell me, I can't remember his name. I want to say his name's George May, but I met him at one of these fan fests. And he said he never forgot in 1986, I think is that when it took place, was 86?
86, yep.
Yep. He was standing there in the Superdome in New Orleans, and he looked over and I was standing there. And he was used to the big guys in the Northwest, up in New York. And he looked at me, he said, I hope that, is this one of the wrestlers, one of the tag teams? Because and he was going, oh man. And he said, then I watched you guys go through the Fabulous Ones, through Tully and Arn and to the Sheepherders. And he said, man, you guys stole the show. And I've had so many people over the years, and thank you for the compliment, to say that match stole the show. And now listen to me. When someone tells me that means so much, and it's one of the biggest pats on the back I can get, because number one, I had a great tag team partner, Tommy Rogers. Also, Luke and Butch were great wrestlers in their own right, especially as the Sheepherders. With Jack Victory was out there and Lady Maxine. But here's the thing. There was talent from all over the world. The top stars of the day was there. And for us to be able to say that was the match of the card, that is unbelievable, and what a great compliment. And I am the biggest wrestling fan that you'll ever want to meet inside the wrestling business, and have been since I was a small child. So that was one of the great compliments, and thank you for saying that really set the tone and pace for us, especially we were in the Mid-South region at that time, and we went on and had the barbed wire cage matches and this and that. But it was a great time and a great opportunity for a small town boy to get a chance to live his dream. And thanks again. I know I said it. Thank you for the compliment. Not only with the matches with the Sheepherders, but with the Midnight Express later when we came to the Mid-Atlantic region. Of course, it was going more nationwide at that part to go against our old nemesis, Jim Cornette, and the Midnight Express, this version of Sweet Stan and Beautiful Bobby, the matches that we had with them all over those arenas, whether it was in Greensboro, whether it was in Richmond, Norfolk, whether it was in Spartanburg, just all over Raleigh, Charlotte, of course, Asheville, all those main towns and stuff like that. We really, really had the times of our lives and a great opportunity, and ones that we cherish forever.
Hey, that's awesome. What was it like working in the Superdome, a building that big?
You know what? I'll tell you what's so funny, and I just told somebody the other day. The way we were wrestling then, we were wrestling 9 times a week in 9 different cities. So it was about like this, and this was a week. You ready? You start out, you're in the Superdome, right? No. I'll say it like this. On Monday, you're in a high school. On Tuesday, you're in a skating arena. On Wednesday, you're in a cow barn. On Thursday, you're in a coliseum. On Friday, you're in a small arena. On Saturday, you're in the Superdome. On Sunday, I think it was a 2-day event. So Sunday, you're in the Superdome. On Monday, you're in a bingo hall. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Oh, absolutely.
That's an unbelievable schedule.
It was a way of being in reality. You may have been in the Superdome in New Orleans, but we wrestled just as hard if we were in a cow barn in someplace in Mississippi. For all intents and purposes, it was great. And wrestling in the Superdome and the arenas in Texas Stadium, we wrestled there and on scaffold matches and stuff. It was all great, but you know what? I never got caught up in that man, I'm in the Superdome, or wow, look at this big crowd. We went out there and we did what we did best. That's tag team wrestle, regardless of where we were and who we were facing. And that was the great opportunity that was given to us. And I hope that that's the legacy when people talk about the Fantastics, that when they came to town or an arena, no matter where it was, that they came to do what they did best, that's tag team wrestle.
And you made an interesting point about the smaller arenas, and I think that's something that's kind of lacking today. I think it gives you such an intimate atmosphere for the fans.
Yeah, well, we just had an event in Chillicothe, Ohio, at the Huntington High School. We do fundraisers for schools, and we had about 2,000 people there. And we had me and Ricky Morton was the main event against with Ricky the Dragon Steamboat as a special referee against Shane Douglas, the franchise Shane Douglas, and a guy called Mr. Pittsburgh Steeler. Then we had the Honky Tonk Man and my son Dylan with manager Jimmy Hart against Robbie Starr and Sean Casey. And then we had women on the card and other great wrestlers. But what I'm saying is that's still alive and well. But you can't take a national group and drop them off in a smaller town. You understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
That was the argument of what happened with Crockett's, is they could have drew the same by driving from Charlotte to Greensboro, but then we flew from Charlotte to St. Louis and just did $100,000 house. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And that was the demise of it. And in a nutshell, one of the things. But I was there when all that happened and this and that and everything. It was just what a great territory, what a great foundation the father had left for the children there.
Yeah, and you said
you feel
Oh, go ahead, Eric.
Oh, I was going to say, how do you feel? Certainly in your career, we're certainly part of the territory era. How did that help you as a performer? I mean, certainly every crowd is somewhat different. And having to learn how to, shape your, what you're doing to fit that. I think that's, that builds such great intangibles that you can use moving forward.
Everything in the ring is the spur of the moment. And if you can keep that in mind, then you'll be able to have the people standing all throughout the match. And the thing of it is, your classroom was the car trip with older guys in the car, which they don't have anymore, and stuff like that. So, with that being said, and you got a chance to travel and wrestle different people. I mean, I was in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, and seen a young guy by the name of Dynamite Kid, Tommy Billington. I was there in 1980. He would go out and wrestle 30 minutes. He would do diving headbutts out into the concrete floor. He'd come back and do 1,000 Hindu squats. The guy was a machine, one of the greatest wrestlers. God bless you. One of the greatest wrestlers I've ever seen in my life. But then I'd go to all these different other territories. Spent a lot of time in Tennessee. Seen Jerry Lawler and Superstar Bill Dundee and then walk out to the ring. And it was just electrifying. And this was before the music started playing, because the crowd it was just unreal. But it was great because you had guys that knew their craft well and would teach you and this and that and everything, So we just had a lot of great opportunities in those territories to learn from masters, to become masters of our craft.
And you talked about running some events there in Chillicothe. Now you run your own promotion now. That's correct?
Yeah, I've done that off and on. I ran my first. I broke in when I was 16. I ran my first show when I was 17. I don't know how I did it, but I did it. But I ran events off and on all throughout my life. As a matter of fact, when I was with World Class Wrestling out of Texas, I ran a couple of events. But I've ran them for years, and always enjoy that. Especially what I'm doing is trying to get back to the community now, helping them raise money, making kids aware of this drug problem that we have, trying to let them know that there's other alternatives, and not to ever try them. You never have to worry about stopping. So my concern is now we go into towns such as Chillicothe, and we give them great wrestling events. And you know what? The crowd's standing, it's jumping up and down. It's heroes versus villains. And that's the other thing that's missing in professional wrestling today. But it's still there if you just want to work to get it. You understand what I'm saying?
Yep.
They love the hero, but they love the bad guy. and that's just life in general. But I ran that company, and my son really helps me. And there's a good crew of guys that we have, and we try to, like I said, bring in people. Like I said, the Honky Tonk Man, who's going to be inducted in the WWE Hall of Fame coming up. Jimmy Hart was there. Ricky Morton. As a matter of fact, Luke Williams stopped by and signed autographs. We had an unbelievable event. One that was suitable for a major coliseum in a smaller town, in a school gym, and it was just absolutely unbelievable. I was glad to be a part of it.
And I have to imagine it's so exciting for the fans to see, you have different generations, folks you grew up on,
Right.
Some younger wrestlers. I think that's just so great for the fans to see.
You know what's happening? Grandma and Grandpa bring the grandchildren and say, this is who I was watching. And Mom and Dad that are in their 30s and 40s are saying, this is who I grew up watching. And they come to see all the wrestlers and stuff like that. And then the kids, they like the wrestling because our events are very family friendly. I wouldn't have it any other way. And we do wrestling the way it should be done. It's like Ricky Morton said. There's no old school and new school. Yeah, it evolves a little bit, but there's only one way of doing wrestling, and that's the right way. The other way is just not a way, and that's why it's not successful.
Well, and I think Cornette has a great line about that, is like, you can either have pro wrestling or you can have this sports entertainment thing.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing. We are entertaining people, and I understand what Jimmy said. I have no better friend in wrestling than Jimmy. But also at the same time, I realized a couple of years ago when WrestleMania was in Dallas and I went out there to be a part of WrestleCon, the wrestling is so alive and well and vibrant. It's alive in the little strip mall store that has a wrestling show on a weekly basis. It's alive in the high school gym that people do for fundraising. It's alive in the little coliseum. It's alive in the stadiums. And it's just different levels. And it reaches different people. You understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
When I look at Ring of Honor, and I'll just pick on them for a second, I only see guys there. I don't see no kids. I don't see no women. There may be a few, but I don't see that there. When I watch the WWE, I see families. Do you guys? I mean, tell me.
Yeah.
I mean, just tell me. So they're only going after a select, and apparently they're targeting only a certain people, but really to be successful. And when I've been involved in wrestling since 1977. So when I watch wrestling, I watch the wrestling, but I watch the crowd. I'm going to see what the crowd's doing. Are they sitting on their hands? Do they care what's going on? Or are they just up dancing because the music's playing on the way to the ring and then they sit down during the match? And the thing of it is that with the wrestling today, like you said, there's all different styles. Some people like and Jerry Jarrett taught me one thing, and this is something that they all need to learn. Have the complete package. You can't have Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus without the elephants, without the clowns, without the tightrope walker, without this and that. So why not have a show where you feature all that, not just focus on one particular style, and that way you get a bigger range of an audience that you have at your shows, and that's what we have at our shows. We have families coming to them. And tell me if I'm wrong. Think about it and look at it. I'm not picking on ROH because I love Kerry, who started it, and I'm big fans of ROH and these other ones. But when you look at the demographic of the crowd, it's just seems to me like it's just men. Am I not right?
No, I think you're exactly right. I mean, I was at WrestleCade in Winston-Salem last year, and I believe you were working on that card. And
yeah, I was. I did a battle royal.
As I walked around, I mean, it was a bunch of, guys about my age, about Eric's age, and,
Right.
maybe 2 or 3 girlfriends, and that was it.
Right. Right. Well, and you watched the matches that was on that TV where there were great matches with the New Japan Wrestling when they did the Cow Palace event. It looked to me like it was mostly guys too, and I may be wrong. There may have been women, but for some reason, am I wrong by saying that?
No,
Well,
I don't think so. I mean, I think now, the wrestling crowds are, gosh, 75% at least guys.
Well, here's the deal, brother. You got to bring them all. You got to bring everybody, and that way the whole family comes. They spend their money, this and that, and whatever it takes to pack an arena. And everybody, I guess, is trying to reach different demographics. But regardless if you call it professional wrestling or if you call it whatever, or sports entertainment, it's all still pro wrestling. I mean, you can't change that fact. It's a ring, and it's viewed on television and on the internet. The one thing I noticed that's really different today than what it was before is that you can be on the internet and right in real time and go worldwide, where before it would cost you thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to do that. That to me is amazing, and that's to me is the difference in today and then, from before, where it was more regional and territorial as far as that goes.
Well, and it is.
For me, go ahead.
You can see matches from all around the country. You can watch wrestling from Houston with Booker T's promotion. You can watch Ohio Valley, Major League. They're all right there on YouTube for free for everybody to see.
Spotlighting their talents and what they do, and it's all good. And what that does is educate the fan more, because then you can't take a guy that don't have any skills and say, man, this guy's the greatest thing. And they used to be able to do that. This guy's the greatest thing since sliced bread, and he is the total package. And he was just learning as he was going. You understand what I'm saying? And that's just the way. But now that can't be. If you can't walk the walk or talk the talk, the people are educated to it because they've seen so much and been exposed to so much stuff. You know what I like to do, brother? I like to go to a crowd that tries to tell me they can't. There's no reaction. I'll give you an example. Jim Cornette told me, he said, Bobby, there's no such thing as heat anymore in professional wrestling. I said, is that true, Jim? He said, that's true. You can't get it. I went out to the ring in Knoxville and was a bad guy wrestling a Spanish guy in Knoxville, Tennessee, and the crowd was chanting Mexico.
Now that's heat there.
As a professional wrestler, you're not the doll, you're the maestro of the orchestra. Do you understand? And you have to be a grand maestro. You can't just be some Johnny come lately. And that's the difference of then and today. You understand what I'm saying?
And I think for me, when I look at the product today, you certainly have, a couple main storylines that there's a lot of focus on. But I think of the wrestling I grew up with, you had storylines at the mid-card, you had it all over.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it really drew it. You could find that feud that you liked. I think you had really good storytelling outside of the ring, but also in the ring. The matches were telling a story. And I think that's kind of lacking in some respects today.
Yeah, it is in a big way. And I don't understand why. There's people that's running it, and they're trying to do it the way they want to do. But you know what? The people vote. You know how the wrestling fans vote? With their feet and with their finger. And you can judge your success by if they're watching your program or if they're coming to see your events. And if they're not coming and they're not watching, then there's some kind of problem that you have to fix. The one thing about wrestling is, though, I don't think you can't force feed anybody. If I have this protein drink right here and it's vanilla, and you don't like vanilla, I can pour that thing down your throat all day long, and you still ain't going to like the vanilla. So what people are going to have to learn is they're going to have to cater to their audience. It's like if a person don't like steak and they go to a vegetable place and they're bringing out steaks anyway, and they say, well, I don't like it. That's what's going on with some of the different wrestling today. But the people think that they can force feed those people into liking that, and they're still not going to like it, regardless. You understand what I'm saying? And because of wrestling is worldwide, and like you said, you can watch it so much, wrestlers get old fast. And what I'm trying to say is this. Years ago, when Vince McMahon and them ran, I could bring Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Hacksaw Jim Duggan, for example, he might be burnt on a national level, meaning they see him all the time in New York, Los Angeles. But if I brought him to a certain town in Ohio, they haven't seen him in a long time. So he's going to be fresh, right? Mm-hmm. Well, now they're seen all over so fast and so much, it's hard to keep the people interested in them. And I think that's one of the big problems that they're having to deal with today with social media and stuff like that. Listen, guys, and the thing about it is the wrestling of the 1950s is not what we have here today. We have the wrestling of the 2019s and getting older, so we have to move with the times and evolve. We can't stay to where we were in 1980, 1970, 60s, 50s, 40s, whatever, or the 2000s. We have to change with the times to make it interesting for the people, to hook them in, to give them a vested interest so that they'll want to turn in to see what's going on with a particular person. And I just don't know if that's being done or not. Maybe it is. I don't get to watch a lot of it, so I don't know. You guys would know more than I do. And I don't mean to babble on.
You know, one thing that I think is so different today, and this is looking at just the Crockett Cup from '86 and the one now.
Yeah.
There were so many people from all around the world, like you said there.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
In '86. And so you got to see some of these matches that you were never going to see
that's right.
anywhere
that's
else.
Right. That's right.
Like, where else at that time were you going to see the Sheepherders against the Rock and Roll or the Sheepherders against the Fantastics?
That's right. You're right.
Whereas now you've got so much talent that's they're contracted to one particular company, whether that be WWE or Impact, because they put them on, contracts too.
Yeah.
That, a lot of the best tag teams, sadly, are not going to be there this year.
Right. I got you. Well, here's what you got to do. You just go and enjoy the Crockett Cup. And I'm sure a lot of great things will happen with it. You said it's April the 27th, right?
April 27th.
I'm sure that the fans are going to get a chance to go out, kind of relive a lot of memories of the Crockett Cups of the past. And as I said, they're out here, the family is, and they're out here doing tag team wrestling, which, like I said, the Mid-Atlantic territory was big on tag teams and stuff. And I know that the fans are going to be excited and they're going to have a great time. And I wasn't talking down on wrestling or the product today. I'm just saying, Crockett Cup or whoever you are, give the people their money's worth. Give them what they came to see, and that's action-packed professional wrestling. And I'm telling you, as long as you do that, you're going to be successful. The people are going to keep coming back. You'll get tag teams to come in. I know there's going to be some great tag teams in this tournament, and I'm looking forward to hearing about the outcome. And I'm thankful, guys, for the opportunity to come on your program tonight. I'm so excited about the direction professional wrestling is going into. And I'm glad to be alive in 2019 at 58 years old and occasionally be able to step into the professional wrestling ring and do what I love the best, and that's professional wrestling. And, man, I just thank you guys for this great opportunity to come on your program tonight. I really do.
Hey, and we're very thankful for the time that you gave us. Yeah, hopefully we can we can hear from you again soon. Maybe we can come up to one
Yes,
of your
sir.
shows.
That sounds great.
Okay, so that pretty much brings us to the end. Bobby, do you have any final words that you want to give to the fans out there?
I just want to thank them for supporting professional wrestling, the king of sports, and I hope that they go out April the 27th there to the 2019 Crockett Cup. It's going to be a great family event, a lot of good professional wrestling, and hey, look forward to seeing all the great fans if I come to a town or whatever, and checking out on Facebook and this and that. And like I said, I'm excited to still be a part of the greatest sport in the world, and that's professional wrestling. Thank you guys so much for the opportunity tonight.
All right, and you are welcome. Glad to have you on the show, and hope to talk to you again soon.
Yes, sir. Thank you.